Welcome back to Moose Preparedness. I am Moose. It is a beautiful, sunny December 1st. It was cold this morning, back down in the freezing level, and it's warmed up really nicely, which is good. For those of you who have never driven a diesel truck, it's always a fun time in the wintertime, because if they haven't pushed out the diesel fuel blend to the pumps, and if you don't have cetane or something like that, sometimes you have issues with your truck starting in the cold. I've only had it a couple times. Gotten a little bit smarter about it over the years, and I also live in a climate where typically it doesn't get that cold, but still enough to be a pain in the butt. Anyway, quick video because I wanted to say that we're kind of in the process of being relocated. So for those of you who've never had the pleasure of serving in the United States military, the Army every so often says, hey, guess what? We know you've sort of established a life here. We know that you've established roots here. We know that your kids are in school. We know that they're doing things. You're doing all these great things here. But we're going to take you and move you somewhere different. Now, there's goodness and badness in that, right? Goodness in it is that if you don't like your job, you don't like the people you work with, if you're kind of bored, same mundane tasks, kind of getting into that groove, that rut, it's a great way to shake things up, a great way to try new opportunities. There's badness in that, right, as well, because you've got to deal with literally taking your entire life, putting it into a bunch of boxes, watching it get shipped off or shipping it yourself, and starting over again in a new place, new time, new area, whole 9 yards. And I have lived all over the United States, and it soon be all over the world, because we are not going to be living in the continental United States. May go into that later at a later time and date, but it'll be an interesting experiment, if you will. How can you stay prepared regardless of where you're at internationally? So hopefully I'll be able to provide some insights. It's going to be different. You know, preppers are always like, oh yeah, I got my guns, I'm going to go run to the woods, live off in the land. You know, that kind of stuff. Kind of hard when you're in a separate continent that may or may not allow you to carry your firearms. You don't speak the language. Ruh-roh. So I'm excited because it'll help build a lot of depth into our resiliency. It'll show you where we kind of fall on our crutches and lean on things too heavily. And one of the things that you lean a little heavily on, and this is the purpose of the video, is stuff. When you gotta get moved and the Army says you're allowed to have X amount of weight, that's all we're paying for. Brother, let me tell you, you do not want to go over on that weight, because they do not charge lightly. So figure it's somewhere between last I heard it was like $1, $2 a pound. So imagine let's say you're authorized 10,000 pounds to move and you're 1,000 pounds over. Yeesh. And that comes straight out of your paycheck. Like, that is not a do not pass go. They don't send you a bill for that. No, they're like, hey, it's getting docked from your pay before you see it. Anywho, going into stuff, we who are in the preparedness community we tend to be stuff heavy. We have lots of stuff. You know, it's kind of like those folks who accumulate that one random cord that you hope, you'll use in the next 20 to 30 years. Or that one screw or that one piece of wood that's exactly this size, it's exactly this width. I think there's a lot of folks who live that lifestyle. Then you add on the preparedness side of it, like, well, what happens if I don't have enough X? I don't have enough pants. I don't have enough shorts. I don't have enough shirts or socks or bullets or food. Just name your stuff. Gardening supplies. Just add it over and over and over and over again. How much stuff do you end up accumulating over that time frame? So, again, I am moving after, let's see, I've been in my current location for several years now, but every new station we move to, most of the time I can take most of it with us. One exception was California was a little risky. going to that state with, let's say, anything that goes boom, they weren't happy with. Now, the base I was at had an agreement with the governor saying, hey, look, these guys need to carry their own personal weapons because we don't have enough weapons in our inventory for the units that are supposed to be here. I was a training audience, so my whole job, or not training audience, I was the trainers. My whole job was training units and getting them ready to go to war. And when you're training, you typically are what they call TDA, which means that you don't have an actual slot. Like, your job doesn't exist, which means it's kind of like, hey, you're needed. We created this position for you, but we don't have a gun to match with you. Versus if you go to like a normal brigade, let's just pick one, 82nd Airborne Division. You got 5,000 people in this brigade, 1st Brigade. Cool. Every single one of those dudes or dudettes has a rifle or a pistol assigned to them. They all have their own weapon. So in California, they said, hey, we wrote a letter, it was signed off on by the governor, we'll all be able to have that. So, still a little dicey. You can best be sure that I was driving exactly the speed limit. My lane changes were slow and fun. And then they stayed on a military base until I left. Aside from the couple times I went out bear hunting up north, but that's a different story for a different time. Anywho, going through all of our stuff as we're cleaning things out, I started realizing how much stuff I actually have. I must have 12 to 15 pairs of pants, tactical pants, like 5'11" tactical. Like, I wear them, but I don't wear them all the time because I work in my typical duty uniform, right? The Army issues out so many uniforms that I have to buy the rest. So now I'm looking at, I have my Army pants, I have these 5'11" ones, and I have dress pants. So you start adding them up, there's like 20, 30 pairs of pants. That's a lot of damn pants. So how much stuff do you have, and what is it that you actually need? Like, I'm all for having a larder, a reserve, but I think I'm starting to realize, like, hey, I started to accumulate more crap than I think that I actually am physically capable of using at one time. And I think that goes for a lot of things that preppers have. Like, I am all about firearms. I am a huge gun nut. I love shooting. I've done tactical shoots. I've done long range shooting competitions. I go out, I reload my own ammo. But let's be realistic. If the zombies came tomorrow, and yes, I use that term as kind of a joke, but if the zombies came tomorrow, how many guns are you actually able to carry? How many have you actually tried to carry? I would argue most people have never actually tried to carry their firearm, either in the low ready position like they're marching, or slung on their back, or anything like that, for any extended period of time, for any extended period of distance, or extended distance. I have taken the rifle, that pack that everybody sees me wear, whenever I go rucking. There's an M4, there's an AR-15, or an AR-15 M4, sorry. There's an AR-15 that's back there. That is my grocery getter, if you want to put it that way. That is my, hey, I've taken it out to multiple shoots. I know exactly where it shoots. I am very good with that weapon out to a very long distance. Feel comfortable with it. So it goes in my go bag. Now, if I was going to be leaving home and I needed to have a backup, I'd probably have a bolt gun, a larger bolt gun for my long range stuff. Probably of similar caliber, or maybe a little bit bigger caliber in the back of that, and then maybe a sidearm. So that's 3, and that's heavy, because each one of those, figure that AR with its optics and with its magazines in it, you're looking at, I think the last time I did it was 7 pounds for the gun loaded. Now you've got to add, each magazine's about a pound-ish, give or take. So now we got 6-7 mags, so that's 7 extra pounds, so that's 14 pounds just for the rifle itself. That doesn't count the other rifle, doesn't count the ammo for the other rifle, doesn't count the pistol, or the ammo and the magazines for the other pistol. So now you can start to see where we're starting to add up pounds and pounds and pounds of stuff. So what am I going to do? If I stockpile all this stuff, and I just leave, I bug out. I'm leaving a fantastic loot drop for somebody else to come to my house. Now, some of that stuff I have is for other people in my family or my readiness group, right? We all share common calibers. We all share common ammunition, common guns. So that way, if they have to leave and they come to my house, guess what, brother? I got you covered. Same one. But even still, how many AR-15s does one need? How many 1911s does one need? How many Glocks does one need? I don't know. I'm asking you. When you start to see how much excess stuff that we have, we start to go, okay, where am I prioritizing stuff? Where is it wrong? Why is it that I have enough guns to fill a small armory, but I don't have enough food or water to last us for 6 months? One of those seems exponentially more important if things go bad than the other, don't they? I think there's a fantasy that we're all going to be like running and gunning Mad Max style. For those of you who've ever been in a gunfight, you'll attest, it is not a whole lot of fun. They're usually brief, they're awful, they're chaotic at best, and it's not all the time. War is punctuated with times of extreme terror and then mind-numbing boredom for the rest of it. So what are you going to do in the boredom? How are you going to fill that time slot? Do you have books? Do you have books on how to do things? Do you have tools to help you do those things? I'm asking this out loud to you, but I'm doing it for myself because you know what? This is something that we have to look at holistically. So now as I start to venture out to somewhere else, I'm starting to look at, oh crap, what do I do for protection? But then I also go, what other things can I be doing and learning? Like, I'm going to really start getting really heavily into communications. Because if I'm halfway around the damn globe, it might be good to learn how to do some extended range communications with HF frequencies, right? Might be beneficial. Get a lot better at planning. Okay, if the balloon goes up and I am no longer in the military because the military is scattered to everywhere, how to get my family home? Interesting. Food for thought, right? So I say this as a challenge to you, is to look at all the stuff where you might have excess, get rid of it. Like, I'm literally on my way to go donate a whole truck in full of stuff. Get rid of it, sell it, donate it, give it to somebody in need. It's the holidays. And then figure out where you can reallocate that time and those resources to something that's probably a little bit better suited. Because when you're not forced to change, you tend to get comfortable doing the same stuff. And that's exactly what it happened to me. I'm no better. So don't make the mistakes I did. All right, y'all. Stay safe out here.